Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Tech Certification Podcast series. I am Sundar Nagaratnam, and I'll be hosting the podcast. The first episode we ran last month of this podcast series, which was about designing the right certification framework and getting your taxonomy right, because it really is important to build this framework before you end up building a full-blown certification program. This second episode is really about making the business case. What does it take to build out a successful certification program? Before we begin, just a quick note on my background. My professional journey has been in some of the most wonderful, innovative tech companies. I got my grounding really at Oracle, where I led the database and tools curriculum, launched the first certifications. I was also fortunate to bring to market the first SaaS LMS, or called Oracle iLearning. This was a long time ago. I was fortunate to be the GM of education certification at some of the companies here that you see: Cognos, Hyperion, NetApp. Very fulfilling experience there. VMware, Salesforce, and most recently Automation Anywhere. I've also been giving strategic advisory services to about 10 plus companies on building out their strategy for education and certification. For today's podcast series, our objectives are really to build out a strong case for the value and potential impact for your organization of a successful certification program. We want to address some of the key questions around: what is the problem we're looking to solve? How do we establish the right funding model and ensure we are aligned with the right business goals for the organization? We'll turn this business case into a mission statement, establish the key objectives, and a high-level roadmap along with key metrics to measure the success of the program. For most technology companies, there are usually one or more drivers that map to their stage of growth, and very typical of what's driving this certification need. Ultimately, it's about the underlying product growth and adoption for the organization. It could be around building a brand, establishing that affinity for the technology or product by building a community of certified professionals and practitioners. You may also need to catch up with what the competition may be offering or get a leg up on them to establish your leadership. If you're building a partner ecosystem, calibrating the partner capability and competency is a key igniter for establishing a certification program. You'll also be able to invest in those partners that are staffing up practices with competent consultants. With product growth and maturity, the demand for talent often necessitates a robust program that targets a broader ecosystem. For example, at Salesforce, the demand for Salesforce skills was huge. Reskilling, upskilling, and new skilling were the drivers. Revenue, either directly from certification exams or from the associated training offerings, is another reason to build out a certification program. For me, case in point was at VMware, also a little bit at Oracle. At NetApp, partner capability was a big driver. Then I also would like to touch upon, reducing support costs, where a company, so some of you might be familiar with Siebel, they fast-tracked into the support queue for those companies that had certified personnel on their teams. So it was really more about getting the nuts and bolts of getting support versus just talking about product feature function. Some of you may already have a certification program in place. If you're with an innovative tech company, and assuming most of you are, your certification programs have to get on board the digital transformation initiatives. This will require you to have faster GTM, establish a lean development model compared to your traditional development process for certification, making the user the central focus, so that user experience, having a delightful user experience versus designing around your or your vendor's legacy business processes, you have to step out of that. Incorporating AI and ML for data-driven approaches to certification is sort of table stakes for any organization today. Has your product or technology attained the level of maturity where associated certifications can adequately measure the skills and competencies of individuals? Really, this should trigger, is this the right time for me to initiate certification in my organization or build certification for a particular technology or application as part of a broader set of broader portfolio that your company might offer? Will there be enough of a demand for the certifications across your target audience that will grow and sustain without having to redesign the program? Otherwise, you may tarnish the brand of your certification as well as your company. How does the certification program align to a key company initiative? Will you have the support for the investments and people and financial resources to execute a successful program? Do you have adequate training curricula and resources to help candidates prepare for the exams? Will you be able to articulate your success metrics well? So all these questions have to be answered, and if all these boxes are checked, voila, you're ready to begin investing in the program. Let's also look at who benefits from certification. For individuals, these benefits could be multifold. It's about expanded career opportunities by reskilling, upskilling, or new skilling in your technology that's very much in demand. The individuals will need to stay current and relevant by growing their skills. Can obviously actively promote on social media to demonstrate professional credibility and market themselves. Individuals can also benefit from exclusive opportunities and discounts to participate in your conferences, early adopter access, etc. For customers, huge benefits. They will have assurance that their staff is skilled and proficient in reaping the value from the investments made in your technology. There'll be confidence if they're using your professional services or partners in the implementation, management, and operating of your solution for the customer. It also becomes easy to recruit talent to work on your technology if you can pull from certified individuals in the market. Partners see a huge benefit with being certified. They can differentiate themselves with competent consultants to be a preferred partner for you. They will have the ability to staff key customer projects, instill confidence with the customer on the outcomes. It's also about improved hiring and retention of key performers that have proven expertise. As you build out and your program matures, there are significant other benefits. Brand and marketing initiatives, very big. Your marketing teams will always love to take customer quotes, those that are certified, highlight numbers at your user conferences, etc. But education institutions, community colleges, online education companies, workforce development organizations, etc. There's a lot of investment going into getting students trained on the most in-demand technologies, and certification is really the right validation of the learning that they go through. So we're going to take a 7-step process now to construct the business case and funding for your certification program. We touched upon the mission and objectives. We'll sort of formalize that a little bit. The certification framework, we talked about this in the first podcast. I just have a couple of minutes to touch upon this. What exactly is your organizational construct? What competencies should you be looking to have for your certification program manager? How do you build out the budgeting or the program, not just to start, but also to sustain and ensure the success for ongoing support and growth? You will need some external expertise. Where do you look for those? What's the type of technology, delivery platform, etc., that might be needed, integrations into your internal applications and systems? How do you build out an ongoing communications and marketing plan? So we'll highlight some of these over the next few minutes. Taking this mission statement for certification, we talked about it could be aligned to brand or product affinity, establishing partner competency, growing the talent pool, reducing support costs, creating a revenue stream, measuring capability across the broad ecosystem. So all these are definitely aligned to something that maps to your company's OKRs. You want to ensure it maps to a key and core business imperative for your company. When we look at the framework, I talked about the pyramid framework in the first podcast. If you missed it, just at least for this section, you might want to quickly review that. But it is really about making sure you understand the target roles for the business users, administrators, practitioners, developers, architects, implementers. You might have multiple roles or specific target roles that you might want to start with. Is the ecosystem partners to start with? Is it customers? Is it the employees? Is it the academia, broader ecosystem, etc.? And then which products? Is it a specific platform, business applications? Is there a particular domain that you're targeting? And what type of investment are you looking to make? It just determines the type of exams: knowledge-based, skill-based, simpler delivery options, low proctoring, high stakes. So all these decisions get taken as you build out your certification framework. Third point was the organizational construct. Are you starting out small, even if it is for an adjacent certification program in an established organization? Are you looking to expand your education offerings because you have some level of maturity with your training, etc., and now you want to grow and build out a certification program? Are you adding new certifications to an existing program? It really is about making sure you have the right people, the right expertise, and the right capacity to scale as you build out. Whatever your roles are, you will need to have one critical function, which is the certification program manager. Typical responsibilities, there's just a boatload of things that this, if you're starting small, that this role will need to be accountable for. Managing the exam development and rollout schedule, leading the whole development process with subject matter expertise that they recruit. They have to coordinate test item workshops, beta testing, psychometric validation, localization if that's relevant, and publishing the exams. So the whole development process, not a trivial task by any means. You have to align the certifications to the curriculum and training offerings so candidates have a mechanism to prepare, learn before they take the exams. How do you develop and communicate all the marketing materials and put together a marketing program, which we'll cover as our next podcast in more detail for your certification? Or partner very closely with corporate marketing, community initiatives that might be happening. All of the supporting materials from test prep assets to FAQs, all of these will need to be created, documented, published, and maintained. You have a product, you have an engagement, you have an agreement, you are awarding a credential that has a particular brand. It's important to liaise early with legal and compliance on candidate agreements, policies, terms and conditions, etc. You've got a budget, you've got some key performance metrics that you're trying to march to. Tracking, managing, communicating those will be part of this role. If you're starting small, you will definitely be working with multiple vendors that will deliver, manage, help you with coordinating test item workshops, psychometric analysis, so a lot of value-add services. So managing that whole vendor group will be very important. It's about the whole operation, the operationalization of your certification, the framework, the exam maintenance, all of these sort of are part of the role as well. As your program scales, you may end up with multiple certification program managers. You may distribute the work where you have somebody that is creating the exams. You might have someone that is managing your reporting and some of the operational aspects. Large programs might have in-house psychometricians. You have a large volume of candidates, so you'll need support personnel to manage the requests, address questions about expirations, taking exams, etc. A dedicated marketing manager or part-time marketing manager. So several of these roles, they might start small, they may expand as your program expands. That was the resourcing side of the equation. What about budgeting? How much money do you need to start, to sustain, to grow, etc.? Is there a magic formula? With anything like this, it always depends. Depends on the number of your certifications, the type of exams, low stakes, high stakes, skills-based, knowledge-based. How mature and complex are your products? If the technology is changing very frequently, you will have to set aside budgets to update, maintain, and refresh your certification exams frequently as well. Are you looking for low stakes? What type of an integration? What type of delivery platforms do you need? Those are all critical as well. You will definitely be looking for external vendors and their expertise. We'll touch upon that in a couple of minutes. How are you looking to promote, communicate, drive the awareness, and sustain the investments in marketing? You might want to target specific audiences. So what is the reach and what's the mechanism for allocating specific budgets by customer, by partner, by an external ecosystem, by geography? So you might have specific needs there. How do you price the exams? Are you looking for a cost relief model? Are you looking to generate revenues? And is there a P&L that's being associated with this? Those also come into play here. As we talked about the ongoing needs, or is this going to be self-funded, right? So here's an illustrative budgeting approach. By no means are these numbers recommendations, but it's how you might want to think about in building out a budget. Let's look at the number of certifications to be created in a given year. Let's just say for this example, we say that we want to create 6. And 5,000 might be the number of exams that will be attempted during the year. Some of the candidates might take multiple exams. So let's just, for this example, say the number of unique users across the 6 certifications would be 3,000. So you have some fixed costs associated across these 6 certifications for the year. How do we come up with that? Let's say you have a content development team with instructional designers, test developers, etc., 5 resources, and you might have 25% of each resource's time dedicated to your certification program. Another way to look at this might be you might have 1 dedicated developer, and the cost associated with that can also be pulled out here, right? So the average fully loaded cost of these content resources is about $100,000, let's say. You will need a certification program manager, and let's put that in at about $150,000 a year. We're also looking at subject matter resources. Many companies their volunteer resources. So whether this is a budget you might need to allocate or not, that really is your call. Let's assume that you've got about 5 subject matter resources that you need because you're building 6 new certifications, with 10% of their time dedicated across these 6 certifications. So that might add up to, let's say, about $125,000 over the year. We then look at fixed costs across the 6 certifications for the year, which is psychometric analysis, vendor cost, maybe it's about $6,000 per certification, again, illustrative, and that adds up to over $36,000. You have an authoring platform that you're using, subscription at $20,000 a year. Now we begin into the variable costs for these exams. So you're starting small, you're looking at your learning management system, and there's X dollars of the license attributable towards certification. And we look at across these 5,000 exams, 25,000. You also are looking to have 50% of your exams be tied to skills-based assessment. So in this scenario, we look at $15 per user, and that maps to $37,500. Again, you see how you might want to think, are these numbers accurate, the actual values, the multiples, etc. That's really not the focus. It's about how you think about budgeting for these, right? Then you have a credentialing platform that there may be a charge of $3 per user for the licenses for the credentialing platform. And then there's a proctoring platform because you say some of them are low stakes, high stakes, etc., etc. And let's just put that in. Again, we're looking not at some of the legacy platforms, but at the very innovative platforms that do some of the proctoring through AI-based proctoring. So you end up with a much more of a palatable blended rate, if you will, across these 5,000 exams. Marketing budget, $100,000. So all these things sort of come together to build out your costs. You might have other allocations internally that you might need to make, but put together a well thought out model for the program in here. If you're going to price the exams, then that sort of will offset some of these costs, but you'll always have fixed costs that you cannot get out of. Where exactly does third-party expertise fit in for what you might need? And look at some of the core expertise areas when I've started out with smaller programs, like test item writing workshops. You can find some really good folks that will help your subject matter experts to understand what the process is, walk them through and provide the right guidelines, etc. Editorial review, consistency in how all of these things come together. Psychometric review and analysis. This is very standard to outsource for most companies. Marketing can also be given to third parties, or you can allocate a budget for your corporate marketing teams to support you. So multiple scenarios possible, right? The considerations really depend on how many resources do you have? How quickly are you looking to roll these certifications out? You want to make sure that your program, from your branding, from a sustenance point of view, that the quality is not compromised. And look at the expertise that you definitely want but are lacking in your team, and look for those resources outside. The next part, very, very critical, is you have a whole set of technologies, right? You might have a learning management system for your courseware. Is this a platform that's going to host the exams? You have a separate test development platform. What about scheduling, e-commerce, proctoring, and what's the platform associated with that? Assessment platform. If you're looking at simulation and skills-based exams, is there a simulation platform you're looking at? And then the credentialing to really publish and to make available the credentials for your successful candidates. So all of these things sort of come together. Do you build individual systems? Do you work on individual processes? Then how do you integrate? Do you have the budget for some of these? The other option is also, you can definitely, as you get bigger, you might look at some of the separating out these. Just the platforms like TalView offer 3-4 of these capabilities in here. e-commerce, assessment platform, proctoring. So some of these things all come together. Just an illustrative example of how you think about when you build out a delivery plan. We will go into the marketing and sort of get into a lot of detail around marketing as part of building out a business case and putting together a high-level market plan, but we'll cover that in the next podcast. I want to leave you with a few takeaways here. Mapping your mission to your company's imperatives and the target audience. That is one of the most important things that you have to think about when you build a business case. Ensure that you have the funding, the right resources, expertise, either third party or in-house, and that should be budget for your program. Use forward-looking innovative programs and tap into third-party resources to accelerate your launch, to start small and then build out as you scale. Thank you for joining me for today's podcast. I want to leave you with some of the other upcoming podcasts in our series. The next one will be on marketing your certifications, branding awareness. Really like to talk a little bit about multiplier effect. This will be next month. Then we have additional topics. I'd like to look forward to having you join us on the series. Thank you. Have a great day.